Have you ever wanted to try Linux without breaking your Windows PC? That's exactly what virtual machines are for. In this guide, I'll show you how to install Linux on a Windows 11 virtual machine. This approach is safe, legal, and completely isolated from your main system, so you can experiment freely without risking your everyday setup. Make sure you watch until the end because I'm going to show you how to make snapshots of your virtual machines. These are like backups that allow you to instantly restore your machine state if you break anything while learning. What is a virtual machine? A virtual machine, commonly shortened to VM, is a virtual computer running inside your actual computer. It runs its own operating system using software instead of physical hardware. Your main system stays separate, so what you do inside a virtual machine won't break your actual computer. Virtual machines are widely used by developers, students, and IT professionals to build and test software in a safe environment. You may be wondering why you should use Linux. Linux is a family of operating systems, like Windows. Whereas Windows is popular with beginner to intermediate computer users, Linux is used for real work in the computer industry. It is especially popular in software development, servers, and cloud computing. If you're learning software or web development, then tools like Git, Node.js, and Docker are all designed to run natively in Linux first. Using Linux as a virtual machine lets you learn a lot of tools in their natural environment without having to sacrifice Windows as your main operating system. What is a hypervisor? A hypervisor is the software that creates and runs your virtual machines. It sits between your operating system, i.e. the host OS, and any virtual machines. It shares your CPU, memory, storage, and networking so that each virtual computer thinks it has its own hardware and is its own computer. Before we install Linux, we need to choose the hypervisor program for our virtual machine. On Windows, there are a few options like Hyper-V, VMware, or VirtualBox. For this video, we're using VirtualBox because it's free, beginner-friendly, works on all editions of Windows 11, and makes it easy to understand what's happening under the hood. VirtualBox is an excellent hypervisor if you're learning Linux for real projects or if you want to scale it down the line for more advanced labs with multiple virtual machines. How to download VirtualBox. Okay, let's download some software. So I'm going to open Chrome. You can open any web browser that you want. You could open Edge or Firefox or open it in a different monitor. So I'll drag it over. We want to go to virtualbox.org. Then we click this big blue download button that's hard to miss. And we want to click Windows Hosts because we're on a Windows computer. And that's going to be our host OS. So I will download to the desktop to keep things simple. And also come over here to VirtualBox Extension Pack and click this Accept and Download buttons because we're going to download and install that as well for some extra quality of life features. How to download Linux. There are many different flavors of Linux operating systems called distributions. We're going to install one called Xubuntu. It's very lightweight, which makes it ideal for running on virtual machines. I'm going to download version 22.04.5. There are more recent versions, but this one is recommended for the Odin project, which is a course about web development that I'm doing online. Go to the following URL. cd image, no space, .ubuntu.com/Xubuntu. I'm displaying it on the screen because it's difficult to pronounce. /releases/jammy, JAMMY/release. And we want to download the one that says ISO. Oops, I clicked the wrong one to start with. And I'll download that to the desktop as well. It's a disk image of the installer for Xubuntu Linux. How to install VirtualBox. You want to find the VirtualBox installer wherever you downloaded it to your file system, which is easy for me because I downloaded it to my desktop. It's this colourful icon that says VirtualBox, a version number, win.exe. So I'll double click on it. And that starts the installer. It's an easy installer to use. I've just let it pass Windows user account control. I'll click the next button and accept the terms of the license agreement. Okay, so I want all the default features except for I won't install VirtualBox Python support, so I'll click the little arrow next to that and pick don't install, because it's not necessary and it adds unnecessary complexity that we don't need to deal with in this video. So VirtualBox Python support off, everything else is good, I'll click next. It warns me that the network will be disconnected during the installation process, that's okay. And it will add these things by default, that's fine with me. Click the install button and it will install. If you get an error about requiring Microsoft C++ redistributable package, you can find it at a URL that I'll display on the screen and also down in the description. Once it's installed, we can click finish with this button ticked to start VirtualBox. How to install a virtual machine in VirtualBox. Okay, so with VirtualBox loaded, we can see the VirtualBox interface. To create our first virtual machine, we click this new button up here in the top left corner, and then we're presented with the following. So we go down to ISO image and click this button on the right, and select other, and then we locate the Xubuntu installer image that we found earlier, and that will serve as a virtual optical disc, like a DVD. It'll act like it's a DVD with the installer on it. I'm just going to name it Xubuntu VM. The default location's fine, but you can change it if you want. It's where VirtualBox will keep the hard disk for your virtual machine. I'm not going to change it. Proceed with unattended installation, keep this ticked. Click next. Now we enter in a username and password for our Ubuntu account, Xubuntu account. Tick and install guest editions. I can leave all this stuff as default. Next. Now we have to allocate resources to the virtual machine. Your computer has RAM and CPU resources that can be shared across virtual machines. But while your virtual machines are running, those resources will not be available to Windows, your host OS. Base memory should be at least 2048 megabytes, but it's ideal to raise it if possible. If you have 8 gig or more RAM in your computer, then it should be safe to set it to 4096 megabytes or half your RAM, whichever's higher. So I'm going to set mine to 4096 megabytes. 4096. I advise not to set a virtual machine's base memory to more than half your computer's RAM. If you want to convert gigabytes to megabytes, then there are 1024 megabytes in a gigabyte. So for example, if you want to convert 4 gigabytes into megabytes, there would be 4096, because 4 times 1024 is 4096. Processor should be set to 2 and no more. And I didn't press 2. There we go. The default for disk size is okay, but I recommend setting it to 30 or more. I just want that extra 5 gig. If you have the space. Leave enable EFI unchecked, or use EFI. And, I accidentally typed 230 gig. I only want 30 gig. I have no disk space left. So now you've got a summary of the options that you've selected. Click the finish button to begin the unattended installation. So now it says it's powering the VM up. So it's actually acting like it's a computer turning on and loading the virtual machine. But because we set unattended installation, we don't have to do anything. It will display what's going on though. If you receive an error after you click finish, like before this point, you might have virtualization disabled in your BIOS or your UEFI settings. If you have an Intel CPU, you should enable Intel virtualization technology in your BIOS or UEFI. If you have an AMD CPU, then you should enable SVM. Okay, so the unattended installation may take some time, but when it's finished, you'll get a window, or the preview in VirtualBox will display this login screen. So we can click this show button and it will I was hoping that would make it larger, but no, we can click this button. Alright, it's going to be tiny. We can log in with the password that we put in earlier. And we now have our own working Linux virtual machine inside Windows. Granted, it's a bit small. Okay, so if you want to resize the screen, go up to the top window of the window and click View, Virtual Screen, and change it to something closer, like 1920 by 1080. Now it's a bit bigger. And you can also go to Machine, View, Virtual Screen 1, and scale it. There we go. That's a bit better. How to get super user privileges. Okay, I'm going to ignore this update thing for now because I'm going to do it the terminal way, which is the cool way. So what I'm going to do is, we don't have sudo permissions. Sudo, S-U-D-O, stands for super user do. So we need super user permissions to perform administrative tasks like updating the system. To obtain them, we click on this blue applications menu icon here on the top left corner of Linux. We type users with a capital U, and we select this menu item. This brings up the user settings. So we click the Manage Groups button. Scroll down through the available groups until we find SUDO. Click it, click Properties, tick our username and pick OK. And then type in our password. We should be good now, we should be added to the sudo group. How to reboot Linux. We need to reboot the machine for our changes to take effect. One way to reboot is to select the applications menu and then select this power icon and then select restart, but I'm going to click cancel because I'm not going to do that. Another way to reboot is through the terminal. The terminal is the command line interface for Linux based operating systems, and familiarization with it is a vital skill in Linux. It also makes you feel like Neo from the Matrix. Bring up the terminal by pressing Ctrl-Alt-T. Press reboot, type reboot, and press enter. And the virtual machine will reboot. When the system's reloaded, we can log back in and we can test out our new super user privileges by updating the machine. So we open terminal again. We're going to want to do this a lot because it's the best way to interact with Linux. It's the most powerful way to interact with Linux. Okay, so we want to update, so we'll type sudo apt upgrade ampersand, which is shift and 7, ampersand again, sudo apt update, and press enter. And it will ask us for our password because Linux does that a lot for security reasons. And we have to press yes, capital Y, yes, yeah, capital Y, enter. And then it will download all the updates from the servers and update our Linux installation, our virtual machine. It may take some time. Gracefully shutting down your virtual machine. Like any computer, you should shut down your virtual machine the right way or you risk file corruption. There are 3 ways to do this. You can select the applications menu like we did before, the power icon, and shut down. I won't do that for the sake of demonstration. We can go into the terminal, Ctrl-T, and we can type power off, no spaces, all lowercase, like this. And that would also turn off the computer. Or we can click the file menu item on the VM interface above the actual Linux window here at the top. It won't be there if you're in full screen mode, but we pick machine, we pick shut down, and the machine's closed, and we're back at the VirtualBox interface. How to install Oracle VirtualBox extension pack. Earlier we downloaded the Oracle VirtualBox extension pack. Once installed, this adds extra hardware features like USB support and better device integration. VirtualBox works without it, but installing the extension pack avoids a lot of common beginner issues. So my extension pack was loaded to the background. There it is. Your extension pack version has to match your VirtualBox version, which mine should because I loaded it at the same time, downloaded it at the same time. So in VirtualBox, click the File menu, then select Tools, then Extensions. We'll click Install. Okay, so we click Install and then we pick Desktop, which is where I downloaded it to. You pick wherever you downloaded it to, and then we select it. Click the Install button, agree to the license terms, just drag down to the bottom of them, and now there's a green tick, which means it's been installed. Taking snapshots of your virtual machine. A snapshot is a save point in time of your virtual machine. It captures the virtual machine's state, including its disk, settings, and sometimes even memory. This allows you to roll back instantly if something breaks. A snapshot is like a save game. If something goes wrong, you just reload and continue. Snapshots are perfect for learning, experimenting, and testing because you can make mistakes, undo them, and continue without reinstalling everything. To take a snapshot, you go to your virtual machines in VirtualBox by clicking the machine icons over here on the left bar. Click the snapshot icon above the virtual machine information. It's hard to see, but it's got a little camera there. And it says Snapshots. Select the Take button from this sidebar, this top bar. Now type a name. I'm going to type Xubuntu Fresh Install. And it's taken a snapshot of the virtual machine. And I can restore it with this Restore button if I select it. But I'm not going to do that at the moment. And now if you want to go back to the virtual machines, you just click this button here. Now you can click Start and get back into your virtual machine. That's it. Not only do you have a working Linux virtual machine, you can now take it back to a snapshot anytime that you want. The principles in this video are broadly applicable to other operating systems. For example, you could install other versions of Linux or other versions of Windows and use them to use software that isn't available on modern versions of Windows. If you enjoyed this video, remember to spank the like and subscribe buttons, as well as the bell icon if you want to be notified when I make a new upload. Leave a comment if you have any questions or suggestions for new videos. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great week.